Hey, this is Realtor Ray Petric down here on Singer Island in the Palm Beaches of South Florida. Now in this video, we're going to talk about why you should avoid moving to Florida unless you can handle these facts. Hey everyone, this is Ray Petric, your favorite real estate agent down here in South Florida in the Palm Beaches. I'm hanging out here once again on Singer Island. Kind of moving down here that you probably shouldn't if you can't handle these things about South Florida and the Palm Beaches. If this is your first time to our channel, you want to know everything there is about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, and play in the Palm Beaches of South Florida, then this is the channel for you. All right, let's get started. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, share our videos. And if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button. So if you're thinking about moving down here, relocating, maybe getting a second home or a beachfront condo, golf course property, whatever it is, we've got your back when you're moving to South Florida. So make sure you give us a call, shoot us a text, an email. Heck, you can even send a message in a bottle because that works too. Honestly, we get so many people reaching out to us looking to move down here, relocate, get a second home. We absolutely love it. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back if you're thinking of moving to the Palm Beaches of South Florida. So here are the top reasons that if you're thinking of moving down here, you probably shouldn't if you can't handle these things about South Florida and the Palm Beaches. So the first thing is the weather. There's different parts of the weather. One is the heat, obviously. You're going to deal with a lot of heat and humidity in the summer months. When I say heat, I'm talking like 90s. Sometimes it'd be 90s and no breeze. Now I live on the beach, so we pretty much have a breeze most of the time, and when we don't, it can get quite hot. Also, the beaches get hot, the sand is hot, the pavement gets hot. If you have small animals, you're going to want to avoid those places when it's really hot. You'll burn their little paws off, right? So you're going to have the heat, and you're going to get some extreme humidity at the same time. So it can get a little unpleasant if you're not used to it. But what I do is I kind of slow it down and do things early in the morning and late in the evening if I'm going to be out in the outdoors. I'm not going to be out here on the tennis court at 1 in the afternoon in the middle of summer. You will absolutely bake. The other thing is the hurricanes. Now I've been down here about 2.5 years. I've not experienced the full force of a hurricane, but I've gotten some extreme wind and rain in bands, on the outer bands of those hurricanes. When a hurricane comes, you got to have a hurricane plan. You got to button down your house or your condo, put your storm shutters up, and then you're going to want to leave and have some sort of an escape plan. Because it's not just you thinking about it, everyone else is going to be thinking about it too. So the other thing with the humidity, you're going to have some really bad hair days. My advice to you on that, keep it short. A woman, tie it up because it's going to be very humid days. And I don't care how much hairspray you're putting on, you're going to be in trouble. And not only just the humidity, if you're by the beach, as you can see, you're going to get a lot of wind. There's a lot of flooding when these big tropical storms come through here. When we had a tropical storm here with Nicole, there was a lot of flooding in Palm Beach shores. There was flooding in West Palm. I know Fort Lauderdale gets flooding. All these beach areas, coastal towns, get some sort of flooding depending on the elevation of where you're living. So you want to just check that out before you say, hey, I'm going to buy this property over here, I'm going to move here. Now, obviously, you're in a high-rise condo, you're really not going to have to deal with it. I guess if the front office gets flooded out, oh well. Now, another one of the things you deal with down here, I don't deal with on a daily basis, but if you're going to have a job down here and commute, or even just going out to eat or going to the airport, whatever it is, you want to go down to Lauderdale, you want to go to Miami, wherever you're going, you're going to deal with traffic.
Always traffic, always traffic.
There's really only two main north and south roads. That's 95 and then the tollway. And the traffic there can get pretty extreme, especially during the rush hour times, 4 to 6, 7 o'clock. It can take a long time. I'm up here north of West Palm, Riviera Beach, Singer Island. If I'm going to go to Miami, it could take 2 hours to get down there. And it doesn't matter which way I go. It's just the traffic can get really out of control. And these roads out here are very wide. I mean, they're 4 lanes, 5 lanes wide, and there's a lot of people here. And this is especially true in the winter months. You know, from that November up until March, April, when the snowbirds are here, traffic can just get incredible. And that brings me to another point, is the wrecks. There are some incredible wrecks here. I'm talking about high-speed wrecks. You'll see cars totaled, just destroyed. There'll be 5, 10 cars in a wreck, and they'll just stop traffic. Like, you'll think, well, I gotta get to the airport. No, you're not going to the airport, because there's a giant wreck and they'll just shut the lanes down and you can't go anywhere. So that's something, if you're ever going somewhere and you need to just plan to have extra time, because you may or may not get there on time. So if we're gonna talk about waiting in traffic, then we're gonna talk about waiting in line. You're gonna wanna get reservations. Now, I was never a big reservation guy. I just wanna go somewhere and eat. I don't wanna call, 3 hours ahead of time. I'm like hungry, I'm gonna go eat, okay? But you're gonna wanna get reservations. And some of these restaurants don't even have reservations. But it doesn't even matter about restaurants. I'm talking about everything down here. Golf courses, tennis. You have to get reservations for that in advance. Sometimes it can be a week, 2 weeks for tee time, for a tennis court. Any of those things, you're gonna wanna get reservations. You can't just show up and say, hey, I'm gonna play. Now, if it's a public course or something like that, yes, that can happen. But you wanna make sure that you've got reservations. But the lines at the restaurants, it's always an hour wait, 45 minutes, especially on weekends, especially if it's a popular spot. My secret to that, if it's just, I'm going to happy hour, I'm eating at the bar. So this brings us to another thing that's very, very prominent. One of the reasons that you probably might not like living here or even moving here is the costs of housing. Rents have skyrocketed. I mean, just a little 2-bedroom place, you're gonna pay a couple $1,000s a month. Any type of 3-2 single-family homes, you're gonna be paying, over $2,500, $3,000, $3,500.
What?
So rents have just gotten way out of control. Now, I see that market soften. I was just looking up some rents in an area, and I couldn't believe there was 43 houses listed in like a 10-block area. So rents go up and rents come down. And that's just a simple supply and demand issue. But as far as purchasing, the costs of housing in Palm Beach County is over $500,000. Palm Beach Gardens, for example, over $700,000. The median price for either, that's combined, both single family and condos and townhouses, that's combined. But that's a lot of money. That's the median price to live here. And yes, you can find lower cost housing. As I've said, you can live large down here for $100,000, $150,000. But the majority of the properties, just your regular typical 3-2 home in a good location, you're gonna spend $500,000 on that property. Besides the housing, there's something else you want to think about, is the cost of insurance. Now, everyone says, oh, all the insurance is super high, and that's not true. So when insurance gives you a quote, they're going to base it on a couple things. One is the construction, obviously. So block construction, CBS construction, concrete, that's always the best. The roof, and they're going to go by the age of the roof and the type of roof. And then they're going to go by location. Then they're going to go by the storm protection on your property and a number of other things. And that's what they're going to base your rate on. I've seen homeowners insurance that was just been off the chart. It depends on your property and your situation. The other thing is taxes. With property values escalating as they did, which was absolutely insane, not only did the value of the home went up, so did your real estate taxes. Now, the cool thing about Florida is you can transfer your homestead exemption. So now if you move from one home to another, you don't lose your homestead exemption. That transfers over. So you don't have to start all over for a year and live there. You get the discount right away. Now, as far as our other taxes, our sales tax is not bad around here, 7%. We have no income tax. On housing, you're gonna also think about is HOAs. There are a ton of HOAs down here. There's a lot of single family homes and all that, but anytime you're living in a condo, a townhouse, any type of community, you're going to have an HOA you're going to have to deal with. If you don't like people telling you what you can and can't do at your property, you probably want to avoid those places. You want to find something that's not in an HOA, maybe just a regular property in town, or maybe someplace out of town. But for the most part, you're going to have to deal with their rules.
Rules are rules, man.
And until you're part of the HOA, you really can't even vote on it. So if you're renting someplace, you have no say in it. And then once you buy, you're only one vote. So that it's pretty hard to get things changed in an HOA. One of the things I see down here, and I'm going to be upfront with you, is the poverty. There's a lot of poverty down here. There's a lot of ghetto areas. And so you'll be in this really great area. You'll be in Palm Beach, and you'll be like, wow, this is great, man. Look at all these. There's Lamborghinis, there's Bentleys, Rolls, all these fancy Ferraris, all these cars, and look at all these amazing properties and everything. And you'll go, 20 blocks away, and you'll see some of the most incredible amounts of poverty and ghetto that you've ever seen. And so you'll see that the extremity between those two, it's kind of mind-boggling in a way. I mean, you drive down Broadway Street, which comes out of North Palm Beach and Riviera Beach, going south, it gets pretty rough. I mean, you want to drive down there around 5, 6, 7 o'clock on a Friday night, you'll see, prostitutes, drug dealers, all sorts of stuff that you may or may not be used to seeing. So I'm from the Chicago area, so I've seen all that before. But if you're not used to that, that's what you're going to see. There's also a lot of homelessness down here too to go along with it. I mean, every corner you go to when you get off of an exit ramp, I guarantee there's someone there panhandling, with the work for food signs, all that kind of stuff. And that goes on here all the time. I guess, if I'm going to be a homeless guy, Florida would be the place to do it. I've never felt threatened or anything like that, and my heart goes out to those people. So let's talk about critters. There are a lot of critters down here. And I'm not just talking about alligators. Yes, there's alligators. And as I've said before, you'd really have to go find alligators. I mean, yes, there's some ponds that have them, and lakes and everything like that, and canals. They're there. There's a lot of lizards running around, snakes, rats. I see a lot of rats down here. I've had rats walk right through my patio, walk up on the table, and then walk down and just act like I wasn't even there. So there are, I call that a beach rat. I don't know what it is, but they're just out there hanging out, but they're here. It kind of freaked me out the first time I saw it because I had my door open and I didn't want to have a rat coming in to my condo. And we have roaches. Roaches are everywhere. You're not gonna get away from roaches. And they're big roaches down here too. But we have a service that comes in every month and sprays for roaches. And if I ever see any roaches, either dead or dying, you're going to want to get your house treated. The other thing is termites. Most people get a termite service. They sign up for a termite service. They give you a guarantee. They come out and treat for termites. And if you ever have any problems, they'll treat for them as well and get rid of them. So we're in this hot, humid environment, and the soil types and everything make it so termites can thrive down here. Another thing you want to think about is allergies. There's a lot of mold down here. There's a lot of humidity down here. So if you get allergies, even though this air is amazingly beautiful, I find myself sometimes sneezing and my eyes getting itchy. There's just a lot going on down here where it can activate a lot of things blooming all the time. There's all sorts of things blooming, and the plant life and everything down here is extreme. So you can get some extreme allergy. Other things people talk about, I don't really have a problem with, is the politics down here. Now, Florida is I would say more conservative state, but there are people with more liberal views. I just feel like everyone gets along down here. I don't really see like this contrast between the two. But for right now, even though people share different views, they still get along. I don't walk down the street and say, oh, there's a liberal or there's a conservative. It isn't like that at all. Matter of fact, I don't really care what your politics are. I think that's a personal thing. I know everything's got so polarized in the last couple years, but I think people are just people. Another thing there's a lot of Spanish speaking down here, and actually Portuguese speaking. And there's people here from all over the place. And people will say, well, you can't even go to this area because they all speak this language and all that. You know what? In today's age, you got your iPhone, you got the Google Translator on there, you whip that thing out, you're basically speaking any language you want to speak at any time. You can just say something into it and it'll repeat it back out to that person. And you won't even have to worry about what language anyone speaks. So be sure and hit the like and subscribe button. As I said, we're putting out new content every week, and be sure and share our videos. That helps us too. But again, if you're thinking about moving down here, relocating, trying to find that perfect beach condo, that golf course property, or that 55 and older, or just a property in town, you can reach out to us by phone, text, email. Heck, you can even send a message in a bottle, because we got your back if you're moving to the Palm Beaches of South Florida. Until then, we'll catch you on the next video.